Good afternoon, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a great Tuesday, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, the following is a collection of news from Patriots. Let's get into the news. Latinos are finally turning on AOCO. As the woke left has begun to crack, we're gonna see the latest public embarrassment for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and we're gonna see precisely how we're full is symbolic of what's happening to the Democratic Party as a whole. The ultra-mega activist Drew Hernandez let her host the Latinos in their public protest against AOC, who was speaking, or shall we say trying to speak, at the University of California, Irvine. He's a liar. AOC is all of these are Latinos, gang. These are Latinos shutting her down, and you know what AOC has to say to that, don't you? AOC is clearly demonstrating that she has little tolerance for pushback against her incessant and obviously very infantile wokeness. Now, what I found so fascinating here, though, there are a couple of things. First and foremost, you'll notice how shocked AOC must have been here given where she was. She was at the University of California, Irvine, one of the most radical left-wing spaces in the nation. And she was speaking at a Get Out the Vote rally. Now let that hit you. This is Orange County, okay. They voted for Biden over Trump by 10 points. She's not in Clark County, Nevada. She's not in Maricopa County, Arizona, both of which are in danger of turning red in just a couple of weeks. She's in a solid, comfortably blue district spewing out her woke talking points in a space. It's supposed to be filled with our most adoring and faithful fans. That's what the left-wing activist disguised as journalist focused on in their coverage of this. AOC is coming to galvanize young voters, not mentioning these voters would have come out anyway, even if she never showed up. And that this is a thoroughly blue county that shows no signs of turning around in the next couple of weeks. But then, even in the midst of the safest space imaginable for left-wing nuts like AOC, all of a sudden, she's confronted with Latinos who want to know why she isn't securing the southern border. Why she isn't stopping the free flow of fentanyl from coming across the border. Why she isn't speaking out against all the human smuggling at the border. Why aren't you denouncing the Biden administration's push for war with Russia? You know, on and on and on, and all of a sudden, we all see the fabrication. Those security guards could do nothing to hide the fact that Latinos are turning their backs on AOC, but as we're about to see, it's not just AOC, they're turning their backs on the Democratic Party as a whole. Now what we're seeing with the colossal fall of AOC is indicative of the larger fall that's happening to the Democratic Party as a whole. Now I know we're all looking at something, you know, we're hoping for something catastrophic or cataclysmic here. Right, like the total obliteration of the Democratic Party. But parties don't die that way. Not even in Europe. We're so-called third parties, brand new parties distinct from the mainline center, left and center, right. They're popping up all the time. Okay, it takes a while for the mainline globalist parties to get sidelined into political oblivion, political irrelevant, but it does happen gradually, often, imperceptibly. The old post-World War II liberal parties on both the center-left and center-right in Europe are receding into the ash heap of history in France. The once dominant Socialist Party in the left and the Republicans on the right, they've fallen into literally single-digit support. Their constituents are the boomer leftovers from World War II era. Same with Italy, their center-left and center-right is imploded. We can go outside of Europe, same things happen in India, Israel. Parties that once got first and second place in the vote tallies are now lucky, if they even break double digits. So it takes a while. And I think that's exactly what's happening here with the Democrats, their key constituencies: Latinos, the white working class, independent women, women without college degrees, black men. They're more and more defecting from the Democrats, and becoming Republicans in the party as a whole is beginning to wane. And of course, the question is why? What's going on here? Well, big picture. It's largely because the Republicans, and we're talking here of course the ultra-mega Republicans, right, obviously not the pathetic Mitch McConnell or Mittens Romney leadership, the rank-and-file Republican Party ultra-MAGA, the de facto Patriot Party, they've hit what the British political analyst Matthew Goodwin calls the sweet spot in politics today. They've hit the sweet spot in a political sweet spot today, that we're seeing actually all over the world. It's happening time and time again. Is that it appears to be far easier for the right to pivot left on economics than it is for the left to pivot right on identity and culture. And I think that's exactly what we just saw with the Latino-led backlash against AOC. It's easier for the right to pivot left on economics in the spring in all kinds of voters, who want a proactive government securing programs and safety nets for the middle class than it is for the left to pivot right on identity and culture. And thus, the left ends up alienating the most culturally conservative constituency in the nation, which is the Latino voter. Latinos are disproportionately pro-life. They're pro-Christian, they're pro-family, they're pro-traditional values, and they find the kind of cultural wokeness pushed by AOC to be totally foreign to a Latina vision of reality. And all the Democrats do in response to this is talking about more equity and Republican racism and bigotry. And we're finding that such knee-jerk reactions are ringing increasingly hollow for Latinos. So this is why the New York Times is panicking over the rise of what they're calling the quote far-right Latina is of course in response to Maura Flores is stunning, when a few months back she ran as a Christian nationalist conservative, in an area in Texas that is the single largest Latino population in the nation. And what did the so-called far-right Latinos actually believe according to the New York Times? Well, what do you know they believe in faith, family and freedom. They believe in traditionalist conceptions of marriage, and gender and the sanctity of life in the womb. They believe in secure borders. They believe in the rule of law and thus the blessings of law in order in their communities. They want drug and gang infestations eradicated from their neighborhoods. In other words, they basically want everything that the ultra-MAGA Republican stands for. So it was only a matter of time before one of the single most important factions of the Democratic Party defected. And that is exactly what we're seeing. So the Latino rejection of AOC turns out to be just a microcosm, much larger rejection of the incurably woke Democratic Party, a defection along with others that does promise to crack the party and send it eventually, but ultimately, inevitably, into political oblivion. And then some significant news, when someone's doing something that's clearly reckless, you always hear the same thing. Be careful if you continue to do that, somebody's going to get hurt, you're going to hurt someone, stop it, you're going to hurt someone, stop it. This is reckless, it's irresponsible, something bad is going to happen. We've tried to warn them over and over and over again. But these far-lefty fanatic ideologues don't want to listen, they don't want to listen to reason. Well, here is the end result, although it being the end result implies that it's the end. It's certainly not the battle continues. But still, I guess the question really is how many people have to get hurt before these left droids start to wake up to the errors of their ways. We're tackling the issue of, once again, males competing in female sports after a young volleyball player was severely injured while competing against a team that had a male on their team in an all-girls league. Let me show you guys what's going on. Let's talk about this craziness that we're currently going through. Alright folks, so here's the headline from the Daily Wire. Trans athletes severely injured girls volleyball player with Spike District forfeits games for girls' safety. A school board in North Carolina has voted to forfeit upcoming girls' volleyball games against a rival team after a biologically male transgender athlete severely injured a female player. The Cherokee County Board of Education last month voted 5-1 to forfeit all games against Highlands High School over quote safety concerns. A trans player on the Highlands team injured her was high school player's head and neck with a spike to the face, resulting in concussion-like symptoms and ongoing vision problems. According to Education First Alliance, the county will not participate in any volleyball games, varsity or junior varsity, against Highlands due to safety concerns. The board decided. Reported video of the incident shows a female player unable to get back up and walk on her own for about a minute after being struck with the volleyball. Take a look at the clip, although the footage is quite grainy. This is not okay, folks. And if you think that this is the end, if you think that this is the worst situation that's going to occur with the social experiment that we're currently playing, it's not. Mark my words, if this continues, someone is going to die. The fact of the matter is the biological difference between males and females is so significant that in one instance here, some freak accident is going to happen and a young girl or a young woman is going to lose her life. I promise you that this is going to happen. I mean, this is volleyball and this girl still can't see straight. She received such severe whiplash in her neck. Her brain rattled so badly that she suffered a major concussion, and it might even be to the extent where she has permanent damage. Can we please use basic common sense? I mean, this stuff is brutal. Children know that this is wrong. You know, from a personal memory back when I was in school when I was maybe 14-15. I can't remember exactly what it was. But I'd already gone through puberty. I was big. I was strong. I was 6'1" back then. I played basketball. I had this explosive speed, I was able to almost dunk a basketball when I was younger. I had this clear strength and ability that was clear to being a man. And I knew that as a young kid, when we used to play dodgeball in gym class with girls and boys participating. You know what I didn't do even back then, subconsciously knowing as a young kid, if there was a girl on the other end, I didn't whip the ball as hard as I could straight at her face. I knew as a kid that there was a difference. I knew very clearly at a young age that I could hurt this young girl. I didn't need a PhD in gender studies to know that I could give this young girl a concussion. When you play contact sports with the guys, it's different. You can be playing football, rugby, whatever it is, hockey, and just run right through another guy with your shoulder. And unless it's a very frail, weak individual, which mostly men are not, they could take the hit. I pretty much guarantee you if I used all of my strength and I went directly into a young woman the same way that I could into a man, a good portion of them will get severely injured, and in one freak accident or case or many cases that person might lose their life. I mean, I'm getting a little bit animated here. I'm getting frustrated because this is serious stuff. I think it was Australia or New Zealand or something. We were seeing a transgender athlete playing rugby with women. That is not okay. And the point that I was making earlier is that you don't have to be a genius to figure that one out. I understood that when I was a kid, when I was younger than 16 years old, I understood that basic fact. I knew that what I did with my male friends roughhousing and playing aggressive sports, I could not do that with young girls. I knew biologically based on common sense that they were much more fragile. Where has this common sense gone over my hormone replacement therapy and testosterone levels? Garbage science. I know this because I've been around women my entire life. I know this because I have a girlfriend and I could grab her wrist, I can feel the bone structure. And it's just not the same thing. And when we're talking about head injuries, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert. And I haven't researched this, but I pretty much guarantee you that this has to be correct. I have a feeling that the size of your neck probably plays an important role. You know, when you look at Mike Tyson, and you see this massive frickin' tree trunk of a neck that he possesses. My assumption is, it's probably harder for Mike Tyson to get a head injury than a young woman with a very slim neck. What happens when a male athlete hits a young woman from a bad angle or in a bad accident, and she just doesn't have the physiological strength to take that hit? What happens when it's too much? And when somebody loses their life, this is what we keep saying, somebody is going to get hurt. People are already getting hurt, but it's going to get worse. And the more we normalize this, the more we accept this as normal across different sports. It doesn't even have to be a particularly aggressive sport. Accidents have been playing soccer, accidents happen playing sports that aren't hockey, football, rugby. You know, the list goes on. What happens when two individuals collide and a freak accident happens and a young girl is severely hurt? Who's going to take responsibility at that point? You woke left this have completely lost your minds. And it's so funny how these people who have never been athletic in their entire lives, they've never played a sport ever, are the ones dictating what should happen in sports leagues. Anybody who grew up athletic, anybody who played sports knows that this stuff is patently ridiculous. I mean, come on. I'm not a volleyball player. I'm not a professional by any means. But I did grow up playing volleyball. It's one of my favorite sports. It's a sport that I play casually and you could tell the difference instantaneously. You know, there's a lot of great women volleyball players out there. But there aren't that many who have incredible vertical leaps and power and just run up to that spike, sending the ball with a velocity of 100 miles per hour, making contact with that ball and boom, the gym reverberates. That physical power is clearly unique to masculinity, playing casual volleyball, men and women. There's nothing wrong with it. But within the world of competitive leagues, where you have the best athletes competing and where the intensity is on a whole other level, it is absolutely unethical to mix these two groups regardless of testosterone levels, and the proof is right in front of you. I mean, these poor girls just can't have their spaces anymore. It's ridiculous. This is in female empowerment. This is the corruption of athletics. It's the infiltration of a female space, and it is fundamentally objectively wrong. And it's about time that people start speaking in a matter-of-fact manner. No more playing games, people are getting hurt. This nonsense has to stop now. Parents seriously have to start speaking up like never before. Mark my words. If something doesn't change and change quickly, I promise you a young girl is either going to find herself severely injured with a life-altering, debilitating injury, or a young girl is going to lose her life. There's no reason we should ever find ourselves in that situation. It's totally avoidable with just a little bit of common sense. Excuse my energy and excuse my agitation, but this stuff just really makes me angry. Thanks for sticking around. Follow me daily. I will do my best to show you. There's a lot of information that shows what's going on. Remember where we